What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are going to check out this! The Legendary Tones Hotmod V2 EVO. Let's do it! Alright, hope everybody's doing great out there today. The little intro track you just heard, that's a first for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My man Colin from the band Purgatory runs his own studio and also laid down the drum track for me. So thank you very much to Colin. I'll put the link to his studio down below and to his band. So, that track was this JMP 2203 right here with the Hotmod V2 installed and a boost out front, nothing else, no post-processing. That's how it sounds. So, as you can tell, this thing totally rips. It adds so much usable gain without changing the character of the amp, and it doesn't require modification whatsoever. It is plug and play. David at Legendary Tones has been nothing but an absolute pleasure to work with, so I'm really thankful that he decided to send me the Evo just to try out. I've known David since I got my V2 a few months ago. He offered to update that because I had the original version, and he made some circuit changes and added some switches for more functionality. So he reached out to me and offered to update it for free. So I'm super, super grateful for him. I did a video with my 2203X reissue with the original Hotmod V2. So now this video is for the EVO. Now what the EVO is essentially the same exact circuit as the original Hotmod V2. But David has now fit all of that wiring on a pre-populated PCB, and it just makes it much easier for him to keep up with demand, because with the old Hotmods he could only make small batches because they were so time consuming. So with this one, his intention was to keep the fidelity of the sound but make it easier to manufacture and drive the price down to make it more affordable for the end user, you and myself. The old V2 was 250 bucks. This new guy is $200. He's able to manufacture them a lot quicker, so you won't be on the waiting list as long. And it has all the same great tonality and added gain that the original has for 50 bucks less. Kind of hard to argue with that. So on this thing, you do have two switches. On the right hand side, you've got the bass switch. On the left hand side, you've got the gain switch. In the down position, there is less gain and less bass. If you flip the gain switch up, obviously you're gonna have more gain and some more compression. If you switch the bass up, you're gonna have more bass. So we can play around with that a little bit, but I just wanna show you the amp right now. This is with 312AX7s, all stock. This is how the amp sounds with no boost and no Hotmod installed, okay? So nice and big and fat like a good JCM 800 should sound, or JMP in this case. Sounds great, but obviously it's a little tubby, it's lacking a little bit of gain. So I'm gonna play a quick riff, and then I'm gonna kick on the Deadweald Duality DX, play that same riff. Then I'm going to put the Hotmod into the amp, and then I'm gonna play those same riffs boosted and unboosted with the Hotmod installed, so you guys can see what kind of difference it makes if you're going for some really high gain stuff. So. All right, that was no boost with the Duality on. Okay, that was with the boost. So let's turn the boost off, put the amp off, and install the Hotmod. Okay guys, so the Hotmod is now installed. It took me 30 seconds with the back off of the amp to pull the old tube and install the new one. All you do is plug it into V2 of your preamp section, attach the grounding clip, and you're ready to go. So let's hear this thing. So already you can tell there's a nice bump in gain. It's not insane, but it is definitely there. It's definitely more saturated, but the amp has not gained any additional flub or mud as turning up the gain on these amps tends to do. I have not touched any of the dials on the front of the amp, so everything that you heard as far as tonally in difference came from installing the Hotmod and nothing else. So we're gonna go on the back. Okay, we kicked on the additional gain switch. So let's hear how that sounds. That bumps the gain up even more. It does add some noise, but you're gonna have that when you add an additional gain stage. I'm not sure what turning that switch does up circuit-wise, but it's gonna add some gain, and it sounds like it adds some compression, so you're gonna get a little bit of added noise with that naturally. It just kind of comes along with the territory. So let's kick the extra bass switch on. See how it sounds. All right, so that bass switch definitely, this amp has a ton of low end with that thing installed, and it is a little bit flubby, but I mean the amp on its own with the gain this high is going to be flubby. Let's roll that gain back. All you had to do is roll the gain back and it sounds fantastic. Now let's roll the low back a little bit, bring that presence back. Oh, that sounds so good, guys. Compared to a stock JCM 800, there's a lot more gain going on here. It's not quite in metal territory just yet for my tastes. If we dime the gain and kick that bass switch off, pretty damn close. Now naturally, you guys know I like to boost amps even when they are kind of tight, just because I like the effect that it has on things. It seems to make them tighten up significantly and adds a little bit of clarity because you don't have to keep the gain on the amp as high. So let's put the gain at about 6. Deadweald Duality is back on. And let's see how that sounds. We're in like Splon quick rod territory, just like that. Boom. Let's get a little bit more bass. All right, so it does thin it out a little bit with that boost. Let's kick that bass switch on. All right, so that kind of compresses the tone a little bit with the boost switch on. So it makes it a little bit more low mid heavy, but honestly, it sounds really, really good. This is now going to be a show amp for me, whereas before, probably not. It sounds nasty. Okay, so let's check out a couple quick riffs. Let's go back to that riff that I was playing and see how that sounds now with the boost on and the Hotmod installed. Yes! That sounds so good. With the bass and the gain engaged on the Hotmod, it's just big and punchy. It's got a nice low mid grunt. It does change the voice of the amp a little bit, but honestly, I really dig how it sounds. It makes it slightly more modern and still has the big upper mid aggression that you would expect from a JCM 800. It sounds absolutely fantastic, guys. Now, with the boost still on, we're gonna leave the bass switch on, but we're gonna turn the gain switch off. So we still got a good amount of gain. Let's dial it up a little bit more on the amp. And let's go back to that same riff and see how this compares. I'm so happy right now. It sounds so good. Let's do a little bit, Let's do a little bit more gain, a little bit more bass. Pull the mids back and the treble back a little bit to smooth it out. And let's see how it sounds. All right, let's bump the mid and treble back up a little bit because I liked the more aggressive nature of that, to be honest. Or we could leave the treble down, dial the presence up. All right, guys, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. I don't really think there's much more to say other than if you have a stock 800 and you're like a thrash or a metal guy, or you just in general want to get more gain out of it, you 80s dudes that love to play the kind of scoopy stuff with the effects and the effects loop for awesome 80s style leads, everything like that, the kind of the modded Marshall tone that you're used to, you can definitely get that here by scooping your mids out, plugging that thing in, kicking those switches on. You'll have saturation and sustain for days. I'm not noticing any noise through the speakers as far as when I'm playing and like weird harmonics or anything like that. It sounds really good. It does change the character of the amp a little bit with both switches on, but with the switches down or even just the bass switch on, it seems to retain the natural character and feel of the amp. With a boost in front, it tightens it up, and man, I will be using this and blowing people's minds at shows, no doubt, with what looks to be an old beat up JCM 800, and then they hear the nasty hot rodded tones coming out of that thing. I seriously can't wait. I give it nothing but high marks. There is nothing I would change about it. There's nothing I could even complain about it, and that is my 100% honest opinion on this thing. I think this is one of the best pieces of kit that you can buy for a Marshall JCM 800 if you're looking to get more gain. You know, you want to modify your Marshall to have more gain, have more sustain, but you don't know any good techs, or you don't want to permanently alter your vintage Marshall. There is no permanent alteration here. It's plug and play, guys. So I can't think of a better invention. I mean, honestly, Dave, you did a great job with this. It sounds incredible. You knocked the price point down. You increased the availability. Everything about the EVO V2 seems to be a winner for me. I highly suggest it. I will put the link for this item down in the description, as well as links for legendary tones so you can reach out to David. David has some of the best customer business I've ever encountered in my life in any industry. He's just a great guy to talk to. So yeah, thanks again, David, for sending me this. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting the like button on your way out. Consider subscribing to the channel because I'm constantly running through awesome high gain amps, overdrive pedals, guitars, and pickups, and giving you guys the unedited audio so you guys can get the best idea of how this stuff sounds in a real world setting. So if that's something you're into, I'd really appreciate having you around. Down in the description of the video is where my support links are for my Patreon and my Amazon affiliate stuff. That helps me earn a little bit of extra money for the channel. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys would consider becoming a Patreon for my channel. Join my Facebook group as well so we can chat about gear anytime. And yeah, this has been fun. I had a really good time with this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it sounds great on your end. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.